Okay, welcome to today's video. Today we're going to look at shite bikes. Okay, sorry about the language, but to be honest, a lot of these bikes really shouldn't be allowed. Okay, the light's not very good in here, but it's so sunny today. I'm going to get scorched if I don't put the gazebo up. Okay, so on the stand today we have a professional Metropolitan. It's a cheap bike. I think it's six speed gears. It's only got a single chainring on it. Okay, pretty simple. Some basic Shimano gears. The shifters are okay. They're reasonable quality shifters on these. So the light really is bad, isn't it? Okay. Anyway, I've taken one of the sides down off the gazebo. Well, I've folded it up anyway. So we've got a bit more light in here. So the problems with this one, I've just put this together. We're doing a bike giveaway thing for job seekers, time seekers, and the like. So we got we're using these basic bikes because they quite often just get used for a bit, then lost. People come back 3 months, a month or so later. So my bike's been nicked because they haven't locked it up or they've left it out in the garden, it's all gone rusty. We've got to replace the chain and cables and stuff like that, which we've only got a limited amount of funding for. So, we try and spread it as far as we can. One of the problems we have really is with, it's almost like sort of false economies doing up these slightly terrible bikes, and you have to weigh up because we only, we've got 50 quid per bike or something like that. They're donated to us, but you've got to take my time into consideration moving them, collecting them and stuff, and then replacing a tire and a chain and a few cables. 50 quid's kind of like, doesn't go very far really. So with the bikes we have to kind of give them an assessment. Now this one, it's kind of all right. I think might have replaced a couple of cables on it. The gears work okay because at least there's Shimano. Some of the stuff we get, we've got sort of bizarre companies called Schmeng. It looks like Shimano, but it's not. Sometimes the equipment works all right. Sometimes it's fine. It's a direct, it's an absolute carbon copy of the Shimano stuff, so it's going to work all right. So the main issue with this one, really, everything's kind of all right on it, apart from the really horrible crankset, which isn't quite, the crank arms aren't straight on it, so it's a bit, it's you can live with it, but it's just not. If you ride a bike regularly, you go, oh, this is awful. However, the bottom bracket, it's a really cheap bottom bracket bearing in it that we're gonna have to get all this lot apart. Now, as you know, that can be a real devil of a job, and if it's too bad, the frame gets binned, which is a real shame, but you can't ride around on a bottom bracket that's going clunk, clunk, clunk every time you turn the pedals, because no one wants to ride with that. You can put it with a slightly bent pedal or something like that, but the irritation of every single pedal revolution. Anyway, so I'm going to have a go at this, so I'll do some more video on this later. Okay, all right, we'll talk shite bike in a bit. Okay, so I've pulled the cranks off. They weren't on very tight actually, which may be the reason it was clunking. They were on, but they weren't very tight. So this it feels awful. It's a bit over tightened. So I think what I'm going to do about this, I'm hoping that it'll come apart. A bit of grease on it, and the bearing, I'll put some grease on it, and the bearings will be okay. I've actually run out of these bottom brackets. So I don't have to go and use a sealed one because that's more expensive. If I can get this all apart, or at least get this side off, I can clean this up and see what happens. Okay. All right, that was all right. Just been for a test ride on it. The hideous clunking has gone away. So yeah, that's all right. It rides all right. Everything works all right on this one. So it's ready for me to contact the client or the recipient of the bike giveaway and say, we got a bike for you to get to work on, or whatever it is he's going to do with it. All right, brilliant. Okay, might have a look at another bike in a bit, actually. Another one of these shite bikes. Okay, so we will turn them into not quite so bad. All right, see you in a bit. So, okay, here's another not so shite bike. I'll probably go to find another phrase for that, because if young people are watching this, their parents might not appreciate me saying things like that. So we'll come up with another name for that. Suggestions in the comments thing. Okay, so this is a not quite so bad bike. It's quite old. It's kind of mid 1990s, I'd say. By today's standards, some people say, "Oh, that's a bit bloody rough. That's a bit crap, isn't it? That's not very good." But even though it's got quite basic components, this original Shimano SIS stuff was actually not bad. Relatively. Look, I mean, this bike's what, 1995 or something like that. The rear mech's still like a bit grubby, but still works. Cheap by modern standards crankset, but actually the custom chain sets, they're okay. People pay lots of money for these still on the internet. Basic front mech, I find that they work really well until they wear out, which, also got this screw here that you can actually take the front mech off without having to disassemble the chain, which is quite handy sometimes. Brakes, yeah, I mean, the cantilever brakes, but actually these are quite good. They're not horrible pressed steel monstrosities. These work really quite well. They haven't got adjusters on them. I'll show you how to adjust those, the non-adjusting ones, in another video, I expect. Yeah, so it's got these basic shifters. They're all right. They work fine. It's also got a lever on it, so you can switch over to friction. Okay, that lever there. Okay. Forks, basic forks. Yeah, headsets are all right, basic headsets, but they work fine. It's got bottle cage bosses on it. The wheels are pretty good. I've just adjusted the bearings in the back because they were over tight. But I think these are some low end Shimano ones. But actually, they're really quite good. They're well sealed and they last for years compared with some of the modern hubs. Basic rims. I don't know what make they are. They're just basic things. So yeah, as far as bikes concerned, this is not too bad. It's one of the giveaway bikes. Someone's going to get a nice bike here, and these things can last years. I'm riding around on a 1990s bike, and it's brilliant. So yeah, so not all shite is shite. Okay, right. Okay, so we've sort of finished the day of doing shite bike stuff. Okay, I'm still using that expression. So I've been doing this bike. This is one of the bikes, the giveaway bikes. BMXs. When you're messing around with bikes, crap BMXs. There's usual things that go wrong with these. The main thing really is this cable rotor system, which means, the rotor thing, it means you can spin the bars all the way around. Okay, right, so it goes all the way around, works like this. Okay, so you've got these cables that do this, pulls this thing up here. Okay, which obviously operates the back, that's for the back brake. So the problems with these things is basically the cable seize up. The bikes get left out in the rain, and then the cables get seized up, and any stickiness, rust in the cables mean that there's so much kind of like slack in the system that it just stopped. Basically, they just stop working. You've got these things here, these 2-into-1 cable things, and there's one on the top as well. Okay, they're blooming awful usually. I mean, they are terrible. Quite often we end up just ignore, just doing away with the rotor system and just running a cable straight to the back. Means you can't spin the bars round. But in reality, most kids are just going to ride around the fields on their bikes, their BMXs. So yeah, if you got problems with the cable on your bike, on your terrible BMX, replace the cables aren't too expensive to replace, and obviously, don't keep the bike out in the rain because it will go rusty and it won't work. So that's the back brake. The front cable goes through the middle of the steerer. Okay, and pops out under there. Okay, and you end up with a cable with this great big this horrible tight turn, and fills it with water, and that doesn't work. This one's okay as it happens. It's still working. That causes problems, as you can well imagine. Other things with these kids' BMXs, obviously grip's a bit knackered on there. Plugs, if the ends come out, you want to stick a plug in it. It needs to have a plug in the end of the handlebars. Other problems with them is these bottom brackets. They're quite often loose. They're a bit weird because they kind of do up counterclockwise and stuff like that. They take a bit of faffing around with. They can be rusty and falling apart sometimes. If it's really rough, you might have to change the bearings in it, take it apart, clean it up. They're not too difficult to take apart. Big adjustable really, and a screwdriver and a hammer sometimes. So wheel bearings, yeah, okay. Sometimes your wheel bearings are a bit rough and stuff on these things. Chains going rusty, but yeah, those are the real problems on them. Bottom brackets and the cables. Apart from that, they're generally all right. Oh yeah, scrubbed out tyres. Okay, so that's BMX shitery. Okay. So there's that time when you wonder whether it's worth persevering with something, a bike that you're working on or a bike that you pulled out of a skip. And obviously there's certain things you need to consider. So this Rock Rider came out of the council tip a couple of weeks or so ago with a load of other stuff. At first it looked like it might be quite a good one with a bit of a clean up because it's got some decent components on it, or half decent components. So it was kind of like, it's all right, it's got a nice rack on it and all that. But when we got it out at the pile in the workshop, it was pretty obvious. It became quickly obvious that there was probably no point because we looked at it. It's like, what's going on there? This frame's broken. It's kind of like, it's not good. This is all bent, so I don't think it's kind of split. Yeah, it's knackered, isn't it? But we will take a load of the parts off this. Reuse, like I said, half decent rack. Gear shifters are okay, I suppose. They're only Falcon ones, but they might be all right. A few other bits and pieces, and the scrap manual. Come and take it away. Decent saddle on there as well. These things, these 5-speed, 27-inch wheel bikes. It's like, well, I'll probably give those away. Someone might want them. There's another one here. But we've had the wheels off it. I had a really nice pair of wheels on it. Not keeping with the rest of the bike, to be honest. So the knackered wheels. We made a gate out of some of them, but there's stuff in here. There's this thing. It's all right. Probably just need some. We got the wheels for it, and it needs chains, brake blocks, probably some cables. But that'd be worth doing up to give away to someone on the giveaway thing. Same with this black thing here. It's horrible. Well, I don't know. It's got caliper brakes on it, but it'll probably work. This really unpleasant Apollo. Actually, there's not a lot wrong with it. Really, it just needs a good clean. Probably a couple of cables and stuff. Maybe the tyres, but they don't look too bad actually. So that will probably be back out there with a bit of a clean up, and you know, some kid will love that to go and throw in the canal. So yeah, that's you know, these kids bikes, you know, they'll be all right. Okay, chain on it, couple of cables, away it goes. You know, it's probably 100 quid new, isn't it? So you know, we make some child very happy. So yeah, so I'll probably do some more videos on doing bikes up soon. Sort of, you know, the rotten bikes that you know you find in the canal and stuff like that, and what's worth doing. You know, I do it as a job, and I've got all you know, I've got this really nice space to do it, and you know, we get paid for doing this. It's brilliant. I just feel really lucky and privileged. Apart from when the horrible kids come round, there's some horrible kids over there. Actually, you see them? Where are they? Lurking. Anyway, so that's enough. That's enough of me. Today's been a good day. Sold a bike, sorted some to give away. So that's me really. I'm drinking a coffee, then I'm off. Right, see you soon.